Over the last couple of years, the phrase community has grown to describe several technologies that allow for a group of people to interact. Well, it sounds quite like collaboration in general, but there are some few key elements that separate it from just plain team sites. A community, sometimes people will use the term community of practice or community of interest, is really organizing a conversation around a common set of interests. Now, these interests might be how to perform your job, it might be around Star Wars, it might just be around a specific device within your organization. It doesn't have to directly be tied into everyday work, but as one company describes it, it is a purposeful place. I like that. It's really about bringing people together to have open discussions. How does SharePoint make this happen? Well, they created a brand new site template, and within it they use the discussion boards that existed in 2007 and 2010, but they made some major changes. They tied this discussion board to categories. They also added the ability to have membership where you can see the members. They have pictures and they have attributes. Some of these attributes are badges so that you can reward people for their achievements. So again, not really a complicated site in the back end, but SharePoint ties all of these features tightly together. Making this happen is the display of web parts. Basically, you have all the discussions, and the discussions show up in a few different ways, and you can filter them with those categories that were mentioned before. Also, there's a brief what's happening web part that shows you a quick view of all of the different summaries of discussions and members on that community. And of course, we have top contributors, so you can see who are the people to be trusted across the site. When you put all these things together, you have what they call gamification. No, I didn't make this up. Gamification is a specific technique used to increase user engagement across corporate and commercial activities. In context of a SharePoint community, gamification is used by rewarding people with badges, with ratings, and this way people can see who are the valued contributors across that community. It gives sort of our ego a little boost. It's sort of a little competition. You want to answer discussions. You want to be involved in the community, not just to learn for yourself, but to give back. It's a really interesting phenomenon, and it's great to watch and see communities grow. And one way that I really advocate to do that is by recommending a community advocate. While the technology is here to support gamification, to support highly interactive discussion boards, there's the human element, the person who needs to be working with all of the community members, maybe on a one-to-one basis sometimes, maybe on a one-to-many, having meetings in person, supporting what the community site can do asynchronously any time of the day. Have that one person, or maybe it's a rotating group of people, who can advocate what the community is for, what the benefit is, and drive the community to adapt as the topic changes. Let's take a look at the community site. Welcome to the community site. I'd like to remind you that when you do create a community site as a subsite, I would not use the same permissions as the parent site. This is because there's a dependency on the specific groups within the community template to allow for membership in the community. So you break the permissions and allow SharePoint to create the community members, community moderators, community visitors, and owners that are required. What does this do? Well, right now we're logged in as Haley, and Haley has the ability to contribute to this community, but she has not yet joined the community. So if we look to the bottom and see top contributors in this case, because there are so few, or also look at the number of members, we see that there are only 4. Now, if I have Haley join the community, you'll see the membership grow. Now you can see the number of members has grown to 5, and Haley's been added to the top contributors list down here. Great! Now let's have Haley add a discussion. Notice that the discussion is a simple form. Subject, body, you can actually mark it as a question if you'd like, and then you can assign it to a category. You'll notice that this body is a rich text editor, so you can add images, update the format of the text, and do everything you're used to. Let's pick a category to put this in. Let's say general. Great! Now you can see that Haley's discussion is on the front page. I'm going to switch back to my user account so we can show you more deeper management of the community site. Alright, I need to refresh the page. And now we can see Haley's discussion. We can also see there are 5 members, there are 4 discussions, and there are 2 replies to all of those discussions. You can see too that as an owner, I now have a Community Tools web part that allows me to make changes across the site. Before I get into that, let's take a look at one of the discussions. Here we can see the original discussion. Someone has liked the discussion. I can then like it myself. And the reply button. I can reply to the original discussion, or if I like one of the responses and replies, I can respond there. You can see too, if there are a lot of replies, you have some filtering. You can say, what's the newest? What's the most liked? And you can see that there are different ratings for people who have posted. I like this answer here, and as the moderator, what I can do is say that this is the best reply. This is the first case of gamification. I've now rewarded Jen with a best reply, and you can see that it's marked as best reply. This is common across a lot of different forums on the web, so it's pretty nice that it's now included within SharePoint. Let's take a look at another feature, which is navigating through the different categories. Here it's a nice version of the promoted links list, where you get an alphabetical listing, you get something called What's Hot, and you can see that you can add pictures to the different topics. That makes it a much nicer experience than in the past. I know that I want to look at the general discussions because that's where Haley just added hers. And here you can see we have the general discussions, how many discussions there are, how many replies. The top contributors still is on the right hand side, and the discussions themselves. Now let's take a look at the management tools. We'll start with the community settings. Here it's pretty simple. When was the community started? And do you want to allow the community members to be able to report offensive content? I trust my members and I'll keep this off. Now comes some of the really cool stuff. Let's take a look at the reputation settings. Here you can see that you have a few different options with the rating settings. You can say if the items are allowed to be rated, And that's a really good thing to do because you're trying to use gamification and give people support when they're interacting with your community. So you say yes here, and notice that you can choose, do you want to do star ratings or do you want to do likes? I personally like likes, sorry for that, because it's common with the newsfeed and it's a feature that people are used to. Now, really interesting thing, you can do member achievement point system. The system will automatically award people points based on their actions. And you can see here that you can weight the values. So we just marked Jen's reply as best reply, so she has 100 points, leading the way. You also can specifically name different levels so the person can visually see how they're rewarded. Let's change this much lower so that we can see Jen's information. All right, change that. We also can use the stars, or we could use specific labels, like say maybe we want to say they're a novice and they're an expert and they're a guru, or they're a Padawan and they're a Jedi, whatever you like. Or the stars are probably easier to see. We'll make those changes and press OK. Alright, now we're back at the general discussions, and you can see because I changed the values, Jen now has over 100 points and she has 5 stars. Also Matthew, for writing and responding, has 3 stars, and then the rest of the people only have 1 for making one post. Let's take a look at badges. This link brings us to the administrative view of the community members. Here you can see all of the members and their statistics, their pictures and name, what their status is, when they joined, how many discussions, replies, and if they've been marked best reply, and that total reputation score that we changed the star value for. From here you can assign badges. We go up to the moderation tab, we select the person, and we give them a badge. Here we have the gifted badge, and we can select from expert or professional. You wouldn't be listening to me if I wasn't an expert, so we'll mark expert and press save. It's as easy as that to award someone a badge. You'll get a notification and you'll be proud of yourself for getting it. You also can see new members, which in this case is everyone. And another view is top contributors, just like the web part that's on the home page. Here you can see that I have my badge, expert. Pretty cool. Let's go back home and show you the next link on the tools, which is actually how to create badges themselves. Here you can see it's a simple list with a few different badge names. So now I can create a new badge. And for my wonderful sense of humor, I'll just say Jedi. And now I can go back home, go into the admin view of the members, and make Matthew a Jedi. Let's go back home and take a look at the final 2 steps. Creating categories, This again brings you to an admin view of how to create categories. We can create a new item, call it demonstration. And if I had an image that I wanted to use, I could paste in the URL. This could be stored in your image library in the community or anywhere else within the site collection. As long as your users have access to that image, they'll be able to see it. I'll just press save. And now we can see we have a new category. And if I go here to the category on the quick launch, you'll see that it's been added here also, with no picture because I didn't have a link. Now let's take a look at the final link on the community tools, which is managing the discussions. You've heard it before, and look, it's a management view of the discussions that we've looked at before. So here you can see the category, the title. You can do your normal sorting and filtering however you might want to. You can see the body, who had it, if there are lots of likes, replies, if it's a featured discussion, and then you can edit the discussion. Looks exactly the same as when we added it. Great. And that's the tour of the community site, which is a group of powerful lists that SharePoint has highlighted in the newest generation to be used as a central point for discussion, communication, and forums about topics that people are really interested in. Go ahead and start a few communities up.